Do you need someone to hold that for you? Would you like, can I like me to hold it?
I think if I just wedge it with the supplies here.
Sure. Because I can hold it for you.
Kate, I can hold it. I've heard your speech already.
Have you? Honey?
Yes, I have. Maybe once or twice.
I'm sorry.
Oh, look at that. Now let's see. Can we see you on here above the? No. Not really.
That's me.
Yeah, why don't you stand to the side a little bit?
Yep.
That's it. And are we still rolling here? Yeah.
Perfect. All right, you ready?
Imagine having a family member go missing for a day, a week, a month, or years. And as you're watching the evening news, they report remains have been found in your state. The horror you must feel in thinking it could be your family member. NamUs, National Missing and Unidentified Persons, claims that the state of Florida has already had 1,711 people reported missing this year. The facts I would like to inform you about today is on forensic facial reconstruction. What it is, second, how they use it, and lastly, on bringing closure to the families. Forensic facial reconstruction can put a name on an unidentified body in a modern forensic case or in an archaeological investigation, based on history. This was stated by Dr. Doug Olsley of the Smithsonian Institution, world-renowned forensic anthropologist. We all have probably seen on the news or watching our crime shows or have read in books about remains. But do any of you know or have you wondered what happens next? What facial reconstruction is, it's a standard scientific technique developed by physical anthropologists to analyze human remains. Simplified, when it comes to skulls, they're sculpting a face to give it an identity. Forensic reconstructionists are the last line of defense in establishing an identity because DNA, evidence, or dental records have been of no help. The artist is provided with certain information from the medical examiner, the forensic anthropologist, and from the crime scene reports and investigators to help in bringing a likeness to the victim. They cannot work miracles, but they try to come up with the age, the sex, and the race as a starting point. What they cannot do is give characteristics like eye color, hair color, scars, or skin tone. Now that you have an idea of what facial reconstruction is, I'll explain how they reconstruct a face. If you look at your handout, you'll see that it's more detailed than I'll be going into in this short time. But they start with having a standardized marker, which will give the depth of the flesh, shown in these and in here, which are the purple. They use the cranial sutures in our head, the one going down the center, in the front, and in the back of your skull. As we age, they close up. So when you're 35, they've met. As you get older, if you're 70 years old, they'll look like a thin scar. You no longer see the suture lines. Using the shape of the skull can determine the sex. Not only that, but a male skull will be heavier and thicker. His eye sockets will be blunt. A woman will be lighter, thinner, and her eye sockets will be sharp. They can establish the race by using the jaw lines, the nasal cavities, and the cheekbones. Knowing what and how, the most important part is closure for the families. How it brings closure to families, other than kidnapping, a person possibly doesn't want to be found. Or, unfortunately, death, which can be murder, suicide, or an accident. There was there's a case on the FBI website that talks about how facial reconstruction was used. A guy went hiking, he went off the trail and he came across a body, the remains. And the police were notified, they gathered the evidence, and they were getting ready to remove the remains off to take the tram down the mountain. A woman overheard what was going on and said she was a reporter, and she said 6 years ago a young woman went missing here. I covered the story. She gave the name of the individual. The police got in touch with the family, but there was such little evidence left from her clothing and knapsack that they weren't able to confirm. The investigator from the original story had lost the dental records, so they didn't even have that to make a comparison. So a facial reconstructed her skull without use of photographs, and when the family saw the skull, they were able to say with 90% certainty that it was their daughter. And they thought it was closer to 100% that it could have been any one or two of their nieces. It was that close, without use of a photograph. In closing, you now have an idea of what is involved in giving a person an identity who has no voice. Closure is a word to help the family deal with a tragedy. The truth in identifying remains only helps the family begin the process. As we see here, this is a smattering of the people that we've seen in the news. Some have never been identified, and some have, with unfortunate results.
Right? So for her introduction, did she gain your attention and interest?
Yes.
Most definitely. Did she introduce the topic clearly? Yes. Was the topic relatable to the audience? Did she establish credibility? And did she give a preview of her main points?
Yes.
Was her body organized and easy to follow?
Oh yeah.
Did she use sufficient support?
Yeah.
Did she use interesting examples and details?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Did she use effective transitions? Did the audience, gain new information?
Yes.
Most definitely. Now for her conclusion, did she prepare you for the ending?
Yes.
Did she summarize the key points?
Yes.
And did she use a memorable closing?
Yes.
Very. Did she cite resources effectively?
Yes.
Did she involve the audience
Yeah.
by asking questions? In her delivery, did she appear confident?
Little bit.
A little bit.
Did she use a conversational delivery style?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Did she use appropriate volume?
Yeah.
I could be very nice. Did she maintain strong eye contact?
Yes,
Yeah.
actually she did.
You did. Yeah. Yeah.
Did she avoid fillers like
Yeah, I
there
didn't hear
were
any.
just a few, but
I didn't
nothing
hear
to like really pick at. Did she use appropriate vocabulary?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Did she use expressive body language?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I'd probably work on that a little more later. It was good. Did she move? Did she not stay in one place? Or?
Yeah, she moved a little bit around
She
and just
moved
play.
a little bit. You used your hands.
Yeah.
Did she have good posture?
Yeah. Yeah. You stood,
Wasn't bad.
wasn't bad.
Oh, your posture.
You stood
was
straight.
good. Did she dress appropriately?
Yes.
Yes.
And did she handle the presentation aids effectively? I thought so.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
yeah. Absolutely.
Were you enthusiastic about the topic?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Was the speech adapted to the audience?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it well prepared?
Yes.
Yes.
And I can't ask you if it was 5 to 7 minutes. Some other questions. What was the most important thing you learned about the topic in individuals?
That a man's skull is thicker than a woman's
Yes.
skull.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Someone's heavier.
That was interesting. What did she do most effectively?
Sorry?
What did she do the most effective? What was her most effective?
She was passionate. She had passion about it, you could tell.
Detailed.
Very.
And very detailed.
Yeah.
And what would you suggest that she work on?
Confidence.
Yeah.
You did good. You did good.
Yeah.
You know your stuff. It's evident that you do the work. I mean, and your delivery was actually
And I like the handouts.
really well. And your handouts are very thorough.
She looks exactly like Ally McGraw. Does anyone know who Ally McGraw is?
Yes.
She's proud.
Yes, some of us are old enough.
Do you have any questions for her?
What's your interest in the topic?
Well, I love it, and if I was younger, I'd go into the police force because they don't actually have a department for it. It's usually people are offering their services who are detectives or police officers, and they have an interest in it. And then, they get used more and more by their individual officers. But as of right now, there are no actual departments in any of our police departments. But I will be going into funeral service, and I hope to work on people who might need me in the embalming room for reconstruction.
So this is foundational for you.
I enjoy it.
Okay. Okay, don't have a heart attack.